Michelle Bedinner, who told me not to do too big Whitehorse Music TV because I've got sweat patches under my arms because it's really pretty hot today. Today we are interviewing the Privia px160 digital piano, the Casio Privia px760 digital piano, with volume turned up, and the Privia px860 digital piano. Now these are the updated models from the Privia px150, 750 and 850. All the 50s, and now we're into the 60s. We're going 160, 760 and 860. 50s are out, a bit like platform shoes. Actually, in rehearsals, Michelle told me not to say platform shoes because she thinks they're coming back in. And she said, how about, it's like wearing a moo-moo? And I was like, it's nothing like wearing a cow. Anyway, the difference with these new Casio, this new generation, the 60s. So first of all, the most important difference to me is that they have completely new speakers. So these digital pianos have been made pretty much just to be a piano replacement. They don't have hundreds of sounds and hundreds of rhythms and things like that. They just have a really good piano sound with a few extra features of a digital piano. For instance, the fact that you don't have to tune it every year, and they're easily transportable and that sort of thing, and they have a recording option and that sort of thing, but they're pretty much just made to be a real piano. So the actual speakers are really important. They make a very big difference. Now I should start with the px160 over here, because the px160 to me has had the biggest change compared to its predecessor, the px150. Now the better type of speakers has made the sound a lot deeper. The previous one, the px150, it was nice, it sounded good, but it didn't have quite as much depth down the bottom as you would want. It had the advantage of being portable, so you can undo the little sort of butterfly clips under here, and you could take the whole entire top off and run off to grandma's house and play with it there. But it just sounded not quite as full as the bigger models, the px750 and the 850. But it was still popular because it was a reasonable sound. But now with these new speakers, despite being the same size, they sound deep. Have a listen. So it has some grumble about the bottom of it, which is really, really important. I think that has been a really, really big difference. So it still has a tri-sensor hammer action, which means that there's a hammer inside. When you press the key, just like a piano, a little hammer comes down, but instead of hitting a string like a piano, it hits a digital pad. In fact, it hits 3 digital pads. That's why they call it a tri-sensor hammer action. And they call it a tri-sensor hammer action 2. And I don't know why that is different to tri-sensor hammer action 1, but it must be better because 2 is a bigger number than 1. So, but the feel is really, really good. The other thing that's changed about these is that the feel of the keys is different. They are textured differently. They had well, not so much of a problem, but the 730 a few generations ago just had completely flat keys. And if you got a little bit sweaty, just say you were performing, if you got a little bit sweaty and you were performing, then you might be slipping around on the keys. Now these give a little bit of grip, which is really important. So that's a big change amongst all 3 of these, that the keys are a little bit more grippy. The other things that they've changed, the electric piano sound is a completely new sample. The electric organ sound is a new sample. And a string sound is a new sample as well. Oh, that sounds like strings. I'll go back to piano. So, yeah, the sound is very different. And I mean, that is, for me, the main thing, because we're talking about a piano replacement. We want it to sound different. So now what I'll do is I'll compare this one, the px160, with the 760 and the 860. Okay, most portable model, smaller speakers, but still a reasonable amount of grumble. So we like that. Then, px760, let's see if we can hear a difference. Yeah, I can hear more depth. I think it's got 12 by 12 size speakers, which are bigger than the other one. You can't take the entire top off and run off to Grandma's house because you'd have exposed wood on the side and it would be embarrassing. Another thing that the 760 and 860 have is this new concert play feature, which is an orchestra that's recorded. It's an actual WAV file recording as opposed to MIDI file recording. So it's an actual proper recording that you can learn. It has a listen, lesson, play system so that you can actually learn the song to play along with the orchestra. It comes with the sheet music for that and that sort of thing. So I'll turn this concert play thing on. Introduction. Sounds fantastic. So both the 760 and the 860 have this concert play feature. I won't step you through that, but it's reasonably easy to use. And you can learn to play those orchestral pieces and play along, and that's fun. So, okay, sound-wise, 760 was deeper. Now what I just played there is the px760 on its maximum volume, which to me is just about the same volume of a good real piano, but maybe not quite. And so if you were to play something where it required you to play fortissimo, like very, very loud, and something where you have to play pianissimo, very, very soft, then you do get quite a bit of dynamic range, but possibly not as much as you would with a really super fancy piano. That is where the px860 comes in. So the px860 I currently have on 2/3 volume. Now I turn that up to full and we get complaints from next door. So it's much, much louder. So if you wanted to play fortissimo and then pianissimo, you get a much bigger dynamic range. To me, that is one of the biggest differences. The other thing is the px760 trying to open up the cabinet so you get the grand piano sound. It doesn't have a grand piano lid. This px860 has a special grand piano lid. And it does have the effect of making the sound like you have opened a grand piano lid. Now, let me play this chord with the lid down. Can you hear a difference? And closed. So what that does is it increases the volume very slightly, but it's not only increasing the volume, it's almost like you can hear string noise more. You can hear sort of like an openness to the sound, an open lid to the sound, but it really does sound like as if you were opening up a grand piano's lid, which I think is really good if you have sort of home performances or something like that. It's going to be something that you can open up to give the impression of a grand piano opening up. I think that's a really good feature. I'll give this a play, and then I'll quickly jump over to that, just so you can get another good indication of the difference between the sounds. Okay. That's with the lid down. Now, lid up. More clarity. Clarity! That was the word that I was looking for. Sorry to get excited. They are new models, I'm allowed to get excited. But I think, to me, the biggest change with these models compared to the previous models was in the 160. It sounds a good deal closer to the 760 than the previous 150 did to the 750. It sounds fantastic, and I think that will be a very, very popular model. Then there's the 760. It does sound sort of clearer than the previous one, the 750. And then the 860, I've put the 850 and the 860 next to each other. This one sounds more sort of piano-y and less sort of plasticky or something like that. It just sounds really amazing. It sounds much better than a couple of the pianos that we have in our teaching rooms over there. So, I mean, they are fantastic digital pianos. They all get the thumbs up from Whitehorse Music. But stay tuned, because my next video is going to be on a very, very new model. The hybrid digital pianos. This is our display model, which has little see-through things so you can see the actual piano motion inside. They have been developed in collaboration with Bechstein, and they are incredible. But don't listen to these. If you want to buy something that isn't many thousands of dollars more, do not listen to these. They also get a thumbs up at Whitehorse Music, but the thumbs up for this video is aimed at the previous. They all get a thumbs up at Whitehorse Music, and subscribe.